The battlefield was silent. There were no more screams, nor hope. Only the sound of the wind passing through the ruins of a world that was disintegrating. The moon, stained red, watched from above the collapse of humanity. In the center of that hell was he, Madara Uchiha. His eyes, the Rinne Sharingan pulsing in the center of the forehead and the Sharingan spinning in both eyes, emanated a crimson light that cut through the darkness. The divine tree rose behind him, touching the sky, draining the chakra of all living beings. The earth screamed, the clouds trembled, and even the air seemed to bow before his presence. Naruto and Sasuke, exhausted, barely managed to stay standing. That was the limit. They had fought with everything: Kyuubi chakra, perfect Susanoo Senjutsu ancestral techniques, but nothing was enough. Madara had surpassed the barrier of the gods. He was an entity that no longer belonged to this world. Madara walked slowly among the debris, the ground cracking beneath his feet. This is the inevitable destiny, the victory of true power. His voice echoed like thunder. He raised his hand and the sky opened. Dozens of meteors began to fall, igniting the horizon. Naruto concentrated the little chakra that remained and raised Kurama in full form. "It's not over yet!" he roared. Sasuke's Susanoo appeared beside him, blue and colossal, holding the ethereal sword, two titans facing a god. The impact of the meteors colliding with the Susanoo and Kurama made the ground tremble. The dust covered everything. Naruto was thrown away. Sasuke had his shoulder pierced by a black chakra blade. Madara just smiled. He looked toward the horizon, where the divine tree pulsed, and raised his hands again. A vortex of energy began to form, the harbinger of the infinite Tsukuyomi. The entire world would be sucked into an eternal dream. But then, something tore through space. A sharp sound, like breaking glass, echoed across the battlefield. Naruto, even almost unconscious, opened his eyes. Sasuke felt the chakra around oscillate abnormally. Madara stopped. For the first time, he frowned. Time seemed to freeze. The moonlight bent, and the sky folded upon itself. A bluish portal opened behind Madara, a spiral rift, with white energy lightning crossing the air, and on the other side of that rift, there was someone. A young man with blonde hair, determined gaze, and a right eye glowing sky blue. The Jogen Boruto Uzumaki had broken time. Before that moment, in another time, a devastated future, Boruto had seen the end of the world. Madara had won. The chakra had disappeared from the earth. Ruins and silence remained. Boruto himself, wounded, had been the last living ninja. It was then that the Jogen, his mysterious eye, a gift that surpassed space and time, began to react to pain, despair, and his will to change everything. As blood ran down his arm, he touched the karma symbol on his hand, a seal that began to shine in conjunction with the Jogen. "If time can be broken, then I will break it," murmured Boruto, his voice echoing in the void. The space around him began to shatter, pieces of reality dissolving. He screamed. A portal opened in front of him. The fusion between the power of the Jogen and the karma created a dimensional tear in the fabric of time. Boruto stepped forward and disappeared, back on the battlefield, at the instant before the infinite Tsukuyomi. The portal expanded, and Boruto emerged from it with the cloak of the future torn, his body marked by scars and eyes burning with power. Madara turned slowly. "Who are you, insect?" Boruto stared at him coldly. "I am the one who came from the end, to prevent it from happening." The chakra emanating from the boy was different, unstable, as if mixing all natures at the same time. The Jogen shone with divine intensity. Naruto, still on the ground, widened his eyes, seeing the familiar face. Boruto! Sasuke, even wounded, felt something shiver through his body. His chakra was the same as a god's. Boruto raised his hand, and time around stopped. The flames froze in the air. Suspended stones remained motionless. Even Madara felt the weight of that energy. The Jogen began to spin, and the karma seal in his palm shone in white blue tone. The past and the future are now one. He moved his hand and time began to flow again, but now under his control, Madara attacked first, appearing behind him with a black chakra blade. But Boruto dodged with a step, space distorted, and Madara crossed the void. Boruto had manipulated local time. In the blink of an eye, he appeared behind the Uchiha and launched a white Rasengan, pulsing temporal energy. The impact was so intense that Madara's body dissolved into light for a second. Before regenerating, Madara laughed. Interesting! A power that transcends time. But even this will not be enough. Boruto clenched his fist. We'll see. The battlefield now had 3 gods. Madara, the conqueror of the world, Sasuke, the bearer of the Rinnegan, Naruto, the bearer of the will of fire, and a new element, Boruto Uzumaki, the time traveler, the bearer of the eye of destiny. The ground began to tremble. Lightning crossed the sky. Madara advanced with his divine Susanoo, the flaming sword raised, ready to cut the world in half. Boruto and Naruto jumped together. Kurama roared. The Susanoo rose, and the clash of eras began. The initial impact between the forces was devastating. The light of Boruto's Rasengan collided with Madara's spiritual blade, and the sky tore into white lines. Each strike created a shockwave that destroyed everything around. Mountains dissolved into dust. Rivers evaporated. The air burned. It was as if the world itself could not bear the weight of that fight. Naruto, with the golden cloak of the Kyuubi ablaze, advanced in sync with Sasuke's Susanoo. Together, they created an improbable fusion. The Susanoo wrapped in the aura of the Nine Tails, a golden and blue titan roaring against the god of darkness. Boruto ran ahead of them, leaving trails of light in the air. His body seemed to vibrate at another frequency. He saw everything, each movement, each particle, each dodge. The Jogan connected him to the flow of time, allowing him to predict the exact instant before each strike. Madara extended his hands and summoned black spheres, the Gudodama, that spun around him like planets of destruction. With a gesture, he launched them all at once. Boruto opened his palm and created a spiral of white and blue chakra. Time Rasengan! The spheres collided, and the Rasengan absorbed part of them, converting the energy into pure temporal distortion. The explosion swallowed everything, and for a brief moment, Madara disappeared, trapped within a second that did not pass. Naruto and Sasuke took advantage of the moment. Sasuke appeared from behind with the Susanoo sword and tried to cut Madara in two, but he broke the time prison and blocked the strike with his own gaze. You still don't understand. Destiny cannot be altered. The Rinna Sharingan shone, and from within the divine tree, hundreds of chakra roots emerged, piercing the ground and the sky. Naruto leapt, creating thousands of clones to contain the roots, while Boruto moved among them with absurd speed, cutting them one by one with a blade made of pure karma energy. Sasuke descended in a dive, the Sharingan spinning like a star in fury. I understand, but destiny can be destroyed. The Susanoo blade cut one of Madara's chakra wings, who recoiled for a second, only to regenerate immediately after. Madara looked at Boruto attentively. You do not belong to this era. I can feel the lines of time breaking around you. What are you? Boruto stopped moving, the wind stirring his cloak. I am the result of your mistake. The future you destroyed, Madara laughed quietly. So that's it. A time traveler. But even time bends to the power of the gods. He raised his hands, and the sky became black. A red moon opened like a gigantic eye, the harbinger of the true infinite Tsukuyomi. Naruto and Sasuke stepped back, protecting the few survivors around, but Boruto did not move. He closed his eyes, and the Jogan shone so brightly that the world seemed to invert. Suddenly, he was no longer there. In fractions of seconds, Boruto traveled through multiple instants, seeing all the lines of time simultaneously. Madara winning, Naruto dying, Sasuke being consumed, the world fading, millions of futures. None with hope until he saw one, a single instant where victory was possible, and it depended on a sacrifice. When he opened his eyes again, tears were streaming, but his expression was cold. Now I understand. He advanced with speed beyond time. Madara tried to react, but Boruto disappeared from perception. He appeared behind, striking the Uchiha with a direct palm strike that launched sparks of blue energy. Madara staggered, surprised. Boruto moved again, multiplying into dozens of simultaneous images. Each one attacked from a different point, until Madara's body was hit by a sequence of temporal Rasengans. The ground exploded. Naruto and Sasuke took advantage of the gap and leapt together, channeling the maximum chakra possible. Naruto gathered Kurama's energy into a colossal Rasengan, while Sasuke infused the Susanoo sword with black lightning. "Let's finish this together," shouted Naruto. "Now or never," responded Sasuke. Boruto jumped and landed between the two. The trio concentrated chakra into a single point, their energies merging into a spiral of golden, blue, and white light. Madara roared, opening the chakra wings and summoning the full moon, trying to engulf the attack. But the light of the three ninjas pierced the sky. The collision was apocalyptic. The earth split, the sea rose, the air disappeared. A wave of pure energy swept everything, destroying even the clouds. When the light ceased, the world was silent. Madara floated, injured, half of his body disintegrated. Naruto and Sasuke were fallen, powerless but alive. Boruto, floating in front of them, breathed with difficulty. The Jogan still shone, but weaker. Madara looked at him, and even injured, smiled. "You fought well, boy, but it's useless. I cannot die." The Uchiha's body began to regenerate. The divine tree pulsed again, sending chakra back to him. Boruto fell to his knees. He felt time trying to correct him, the timeline distorting, pulling him back to the future. No, not yet. He looked at Naruto and Sasuke unconscious, then at the sky. "I will not let the past repeat itself." Boruto raised his arm, and the karma glowed in an almost divine tone. White energy formed a sword in his hand, a blade of pure chakra vibrating with the power of time and destiny. Madara watched him, intrigued. "This energy, it's like the power of the Rikudu." Boruto stepped forward. "No, it's the power of choice." He disappeared. When he reappeared, he was right in front of Madara. The sword pierced the Uchiha's chest, tearing him into light. Madara widened his eyes, surprised to finally feel something he could not control. Time cannot be. Boruto stared at him closely. "It can, because I came from the future to prove it." The blade shone, and Madara exploded in a wave of white energy, disintegrating. The sky cleared. The moon split. Naruto and Sasuke looked up, seeing Boruto suspended in the air, the sword still in hand. For a moment, the world was at peace. But before Boruto could breathe, a shadow crawled among the debris. Black Zetsu, the true manipulator, the one who had been waiting for the perfect moment. He began moving toward the remains of Madara's body, planning to use it to bring Kaguya back. Boruto felt the dark chakra forming, and his eyes widened. No, not this time. He advanced with a leap, moving faster than the eye could follow. Zetsu tried to escape, but Boruto struck him with the sword of light, cutting the black energy into pieces. At the same instant, before he could fuse with Madara, Boruto spun the blade and delivered the final strike, slicing Madara's body into multiple parts, until he completely dissolved into chakra dust. Time stopped. The divine tree began to wither, and the temporal portal opened again behind Boruto. The Jogan pulsed in agony, as if destiny itself was trying to expel him from there. Naruto and Sasuke tried to rise, extending their hands. "Wait! Boruto!" shouted Naruto. The boy looked at them, smiling faintly. "You changed everything. The future will be different now." The wind blew, carrying leaves and ashes. Boruto turned and walked toward the blue rift, which called him back to the time that awaited him. "Goodbye, Father." And he disappeared. The silence after the battle was almost sacred. The entire world seemed to have paused to breathe. The divine tree had vanished, reduced to fragments of light that floated slowly in the air like golden ashes. The clouds parted, and the sun pierced the horizon for the first time in many days, illuminating a field full of ruins, but also hope. Naruto was on his knees, looking at the sky, still trying to comprehend what had just happened. Kurama's chakra had dispersed, and he felt only the weight of his tired body and his racing heart. Sasuke, with a torn cloak and his left eye nearly extinguished, leaned on his sword and looked at the space where Boruto had disappeared. Neither of them spoke for several seconds, only the sound of the wind. Then Naruto whispered with a hoarse voice, "He was Boruto, wasn't he?" Sasuke closed his eyes and nodded. "Yes, the same look, the same spirit. But from a time we have not yet lived." Naruto let out a trembling laugh, almost a sob. "My son saved the world before he was even born." The dust around began to disperse, and little by little, the survivors of the Ninja Alliance began appearing among the rubble. Gaara, Kakashi, Rock Lee, Ino, Shikamaru, all were stunned, but alive. The chakra that had been drained by the divine tree began to flow again. The earth, somehow, began to heal. But something was different. Time was not the same. As the ninjas looked toward the horizon, the sky began to subtly distort. The clouds spiraled, and a bluish energy coursed through the air, the mark that the Jogan had left a scar on the timeline. Reality, in silence, reorganized. Boruto no longer existed at that point in history. His name, his memory, even his presence had been erased from that past. But the hearts of those who fought there held an inexplicable feeling. Something inside them said that someone, somewhere had guided that victory. Naruto looked at his hands. For a moment, he saw something. A small spark of blue light leaving his wrist. When he touched it, he felt an emotion that made him smile and cry at the same time. "Thank you," he whispered. Time moved forward. Without Madara's influence and without Kaguya's resurrection, the ninja world followed a completely different path. Peace came, but not an imposed peace. It was a peace built. The 5 countries began to unite, rebuilding the villages, planting, healing. Children trained in the academies without fear. The sound of war disappeared, replaced by laughter and hope. And then, many years later, on a quiet morning, a child was born in the Hidden Leaf Village. Naruto, now Hokage, ran to the maternity ward, his heart racing. Hinata held the baby in her arms. Smiling tenderly, Naruto looked at the small face, eyes closed, and laughed with happiness. But when the baby opened his eyes, a bluish glow, almost imperceptible, shimmered in the right eye. Naruto froze, paralyzed for a few seconds. Hinata noticed and asked, concerned, "What is it, Naruto-kun?" He smiled, tears running. "Nothing. Just..." I had the feeling that this gaze had already saved the world before. Outside, the wind blew over the village, swaying the flags with the leaf symbol. The future had been rewritten, but the laws of time are never so simple. In another point of reality, outside the common flow of space-time, Boruto awakened. He was floating in an infinite sea of blue energy, the same he had crossed when opening the portal. His body still glowed, and the Jogan pulsed slowly. In front of him, a figure of pure chakra formed, the spirit of the Sage of 6 Paths. Hagoromo Otsutsuki. "You achieved what no one ever dared to do, Boruto Uzumaki." Boruto looked at him, still confused. "The world survived?" "Yes, but the price was high. You no longer belong to any time. You are among them." Boruto lowered his gaze. "So, I cannot return?" Hagoromo smiled faintly. "Perhaps one day. Time is a cycle, and now you are part of it. As long as the Jogan exists, destiny will never be absolute." Boruto looked at the infinite blue around him. He saw the past, present, and future intersecting like threads of light. He saw Naruto and Sasuke rebuilding the world. He saw the villages in peace. He even saw a young version of himself smiling in Hinata's arms, and then he understood. He had become the guardian of time, an invisible protector of all eras. If it's to protect what they built, then I will remain here. The Jogan shone, and the energy around responded, as if the entire universe had heard his promise. In the following centuries, stories began to arise in the villages, legends of a blue light ghost who appeared whenever the world was on the brink of destruction. Some said it was a god, others an ancient ninja, but no one knew the truth. In rare moments, Under the moon, when the wind blew through the trees, a blue lightning streaked across the sky, and those who saw it swore they heard a distant voice saying, "As long as there is will, time can always be rewritten." The ninja world prospered. Naruto grew old with pride. Sasuke departed in peace, and a new generation flourished in harmony, but the cycle never ended. Because, beyond all time, at a point where past and future meet, there was a boy with blue eyes. Watching the universe with serenity, Boruto Uzumaki, the time traveler, the child of destiny, the one who sliced the god who created chaos and sealed destiny itself into infinity, he smiled and disappeared in a flash of light. The wind blew once more through the hidden leaf village. Leaves danced, children laughed, and the sun set with a peace no god could ever understand. Boruto had fulfilled his promise. Time had been saved, and the world was finally free.